You would have perhaps seen some information related to developments since late last night, early this morning, which has been put out by the Ministry of Defence. Just in case it has been missed, I will request Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh to just update you and fill you in on the details.
Thank you, sir. ऑपरेशन सिंदूर पर 7 मई 2025 को हुई प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस के दौरान भारत ने अपनी प्रतिक्रिया को केंद्रित, संतुलित और गैर उत्तेजक बताया था। यह विशेष रूप से स्पष्ट किया गया था कि पाकिस्तानी सैन्य ठिकानों को निशाना नहीं बनाया गया। साथ ही दोहराया गया कि भारत में किसी भी सैन्य लक्ष्य पर हमले का उचित जवाब दिया जाएगा। 7 से 8 मई 2025 की रात को पाकिस्तान ने उत्तरी और पश्चिमी भारत में स्थित कई सैन्य ठिकानों को, जैसे कि अवंतीपुरा, श्रीनगर, जम्मू, पठानकोट, अमृतसर, कपूरथला, जालंधर, लुधियाना, आदमपुर, भटिंडा, चंडीगढ़, नाल, फलौदी, उत्तरलाई और भुज पर ड्रोन और मिसाइलों से हमला करने का प्रयास किया। इन हमलों को इंटीग्रेटेड काउंटर यूएएस ग्रिड और वायु रक्षा प्रणालियों द्वारा निष्क्रिय कर दिया गया। इन हमलों का मलबा कई स्थानों से बरामद हुआ, जो कि पाकिस्तानी हमलों का प्रमाण है। On the night of 7th May 2025, Pakistan attempted to engage a number of military targets in northern and western India using drones and missiles. These places included Avantipura, Srinagar, Jammu, Pathankot, Amritsar, Kapurthala, Nal, Jalandhar, Ludhiana, Adampur, Bhatinda, Chandigarh, Falodi, Uttarlai and Bhuj. These were neutralized by the integrated counter unmanned aerial system and other air defense systems. The debris of these attacks is now being recovered from a number of locations that prove the Pakistani attacks. आज सुबह भारतीय सशस्त्र बलों ने पाकिस्तान के कई स्थानों पर वायु रक्षा रडार और प्रणालियों को निशाना बनाया। भारत की प्रतिक्रिया समान क्षेत्र में समान तीव्रता के साथ की गई। यह विश्वसनीय रूप से ज्ञात हुआ कि लाहौर में स्थित एक वायु रक्षा प्रणाली को निष्क्रिय कर दिया गया। Today morning, Indian Armed Forces targeted air defense radars and systems at a number of locations in Pakistan. Indian response has been in the same domain with the same intensity as Pakistan. It has been reliably learnt that an air defense system at Lahore has been neutralized. पाकिस्तान ने नियंत्रण रेखा पर आकरण गोलीबारी की तीव्रता बढ़ा दी है, जिसमें कुपवाड़ा, बारामूला, उरी, पुंछ, मेंढर और राजौरी क्षेत्रों में मोर्टार और भारी तोपखाने का इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है। Pakistan has increased the intensity of its unprovoked firing across the line of control using mortar and heavy calibre artillery in areas in Kupwara, Baramulla, Uri, Poonch, Mendhar and Rajouri sectors in Jammu and Kashmir. 16 innocent lives have been lost, including 3 women and 5 children, due to the Pakistani firing. Here too, India was compelled to respond to bring mortar and artillery fire from Pakistan to a halt. Indian Armed Forces reiterate their commitment to non-escalation, provided it is respected by the Pakistan military. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Friends, this is, as I said, further to the briefing that was provided yesterday and some of the updates that have been just provided by Colonel Qureshi and Wing Commander Singh. I thought that we would just put some of the aspects related to the events that started on 22nd April with the barbaric terror attack in Pahalgam into further context, because there is a certain amount of commentary that has happened with regard to the events since then. And more than the commentary, there has been a lot of disinformation that has been directed at us from across the border. So a few things that I would like you to keep in mind. First of all, there is mention on all sides of escalation. I think the first point that you have to keep in mind is the attack of 22nd April in Pahalgam is the original escalation. ये जो सिलसिला है जो हम देख रहे हैं आज की घटनाओं को लेके, ये 22 अप्रैल के पहलगाम के हमले से शुरू हुआ है. एस्केलेशन वहां पे हुआ है और उस एस्केलेशन का जवाब भारतीय सेना ने, भारतीय फौज ने कल अपने एक्शन से दिया है. Secondly, I want to invite your attention to the involvement of the group calling itself the Resistance Front in these attacks. I pointed this out yesterday that this is a group that is a known front for the well-known Pakistan-based terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Taiba. The group has been reported earlier. I mentioned to you about the Indian authorities providing information to the UN 1267 Sanctions Monitoring Committee. And in fact, we are going to be meeting with the team again very soon, and we will be providing an update to the information that we have provided earlier. But what is interesting, दिलचस्प बात यह है कि संयुक्त राष्ट्र की सुरक्षा समिति में जब पहलगाम के हमले को लेके एक प्रेस वक्तव्य जारी करने की बात चल रही थी, तो आप सोचिए किस देश ने टीआरएफ का, द रेजिस्टेंस फ्रंट का उसमें मेंशन किया जाना, उसको अपोज किया, पाकिस्तान ने. दिस वाज आफ्टर द फैक्ट दैट द टीआरएफ claimed responsibility for this attack not once but twice within a few hours after the incident on the 22nd of April, and then again on the morning of 23rd April. And it is perhaps only after the full gravity of the incident was realized by its masters and handlers across the border that it was managed to back off from this claim. Obviously, that retraction doesn't convince anybody. तीसरी चीज जो मैं आपसे कहना चाह रहा था, और कर्नल कुरैशी और विंग कमांडर सिंह ने कल भी बड़े स्पष्ट शब्दों में और आज भी आपसे ये बात साझा की है. जो भारतीय रिस्पॉन्स है वो नॉन एस्केलेटरी है, प्रिसाइज है, सटीक है, मेजर्ड है और कंसिडर्ड है. Our intention has not been to escalate matters. We are only responding to the original escalation, as I said, and our response has been targeted, precise, controlled and measured. Only no military targets have been selected. Only terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan has been hit. Now, there are, as I said, a number of issues that have been raised in commentaries, and there's a lot of, as I said, unfounded disinformation and fabrication that has come from across the border. And I would just like to use this opportunity to set the record straight on some of these issues. The first of these is Pakistan trying to wash its hands off any and all involvement with terrorism. I think the Pakistani information minister said there are no terrorists in Pakistan. And I think he was challenged on that in the television program that he was appearing on. But even if I partially repeat myself from yesterday, I think Pakistan's reputation as the epicenter of global terrorism is rooted in a number of instances where concrete evidence is available, not just to India, but to governments and authorities and agencies around the world. There are several terrorist attacks around the world where Pakistani fingerprints have been found. I don't need to belabor the point with regard to this audience about where Osama bin Laden was found and who called him a martyr. Pakistan has also for decades pursued cross-border terrorism into India with impunity, and as I said yesterday also, in order to deliberately mislead the international community, they claimed that the terrorist Sajid Mir was dead. They came under pressure, and Sajid Mir was then brought back to life, arrested, and is now apparently in Pakistani custody. Pakistan is also home to a very large number of UN proscribed as well as UN proscribed terrorists, as well as terrorists proscribed by a number of other governments in the world, including, of course, the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed, as well as their leaders, Masood Azhar and Hafiz Mohammed Saeed. आपने देखा होगा हाल ही में पिछले ही कुछ दिनों में पाकिस्तान के रक्षा मंत्री और उनके पूर्व विदेश मंत्री दोनों ने इस बात को माना है कि पाकिस्तान का ऐसे ग्रुप्स के साथ जो रिश्ता है वो क्या रहा है. Both the defense minister and the former foreign minister of Pakistan, I think they've done a more eloquent job of this than I could ever do in terms of describing their country's implication in international terrorism and their involvement in housing these kinds of groups. दूसरा जो विषय है वो है पाकिस्तान का जो एक दावा है कि एक इंटरनेशनल impartial investigation होना चाहिए, एक joint investigative committee होनी चाहिए. These calls for jointly investigating this heinous and barbaric attack in Pahalgam. Again, I think you know the history well on this. You know the track record well, and it is not a bright track record insofar as Pakistan is concerned. In fact, in the pursuit of justice for the victims of multiple terrorist attacks, whether it be Mumbai in 2008, in Pathankot in 2016, or many others, but in particular for these two attacks, India had offered to cooperate. India provided forensic evidence and urged Pakistan to bring the perpetrators of these attacks to justice. We, in particular with regard to the Mumbai attacks of 2008, where a Pakistani Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist was captured alive, India provided extensive information and evidence related to the involvement of Pakistani terrorists in this attack. Cases were registered, but you are all aware that these cases have not progressed despite the formation of judicial teams, etc. And Pakistan has consistently stonewalled all efforts to move the investigation along. In fact, with regard to the Pathankot attack as well, a joint investigative team was formed. We gave access, unprecedented access, I should say, to Pakistani team to the site of the attack. Details of call records data and DNA, etc., were shared with Pakistan. We had shared with them details related that we had been able to access to the addresses of terrorists. We presented evidence against the office bearers of Jaish-e-Mohammed who had conspired in the attack, and the handlers of the terrorists who facilitated them and guided them in. But there has been no movement on this. So, in all of this, I think the experience has not been positive, and it certainly doesn't give us the confidence now to take at face value Pakistani assertions of wishing to participate in a joint investigation. These are just delaying tactics, these are just stonewalling tactics. And in fact, there is reason to believe that Pakistan uses the evidence that we provide only to cover its tracks and in fact defend the terrorists who we are looking for and obstruct the path of investigation. A third point that I wanted to address was the claim that only civilians were killed in the strikes on the 7th of May. We have made the point very clearly that all attacks on the morning of 7th May were against carefully selected terrorist infrastructure, terrorist targets. It is not clear to us, in fact, seeing some of the coverage of the after effects of these strikes, including the funerals for the terrorists that were held yesterday. I think a lot of you have seen the reports and the coverage on media. If only civilians, if any civilians were killed in these attacks, I wonder what message this picture actually sends to all of you. This is a question that is worth asking. It's also odd that the funerals of civilians are carried out with the coffins being draped in Pakistani flags and state honors being accorded. As far as we are concerned, the individuals eliminated at these facilities were terrorists. Giving terrorist state funerals may be a practice in Pakistan. Doesn't seem to make much sense to us. Pakistan has also claimed that India deliberately attacked religious sites. This is completely false again. I have made it clear that the targets were terrorist infrastructure, terrorist facilities, and locations connected clearly with incidents of cross-border terrorism into India. And it is in fact Pakistan that is misusing religious sites as a cover to in fact radicalize, direct and indoctrinate and train terrorists. In fact, contrary to what Pakistan is claiming, yesterday Pakistan launched a targeted attack on the Sikh community in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, hitting Gurdwara in Poonch and the homes of Sikh community members, which came under attack. And we know that at least 3 individuals were killed in that particular attack. Pakistan is also making attempts to, in fact, just to add to this point, the retaliatory action that Pakistan has taken, in fact, is impacting civilians. I showed you the picture of the Gurdwara and the Sikh community members who were killed in this. There are other civilians also who've been killed and injured in these attacks. In fact, since yesterday morning, a total of 16 civilians have been killed and 59 others have been injured in the attacks by Pakistan. Not only this, Pakistan is also making attempts as part of its disinformation campaign to paint our action with regard to cross-border terrorism through the communal angle. If that is the issue, then I think I can do no better than to cite or point you in the direction of the Pakistan Army Chief's speech of 16 April 2025. I think that is the last word in communal rhetoric. And in the Pahalgam attack itself, you are aware of the kind of religious profiling that was done there, and perhaps there is a linkage between these two events. I can only say that these nefarious designs will not be allowed to succeed in India. And it is to be noted that people from all faiths, all religions, all regions in India have unequivocally, not just in India but around the world, have condemned these attacks. The Pakistani claims of now responding to India's strikes of the 7th of May. As I said right at the outset, it is India which is responding. The original escalation was by Pakistan on the 22nd of April. We are the ones who are responding to that escalation with the action that was taken yesterday morning. And again, I would like to emphasize that the action was restrained. It was directed towards non-civilian, non-military targets and confined to terrorist camps. And again, as we have been saying since yesterday, any further action by Pakistan, some of which we are seeing today, is nothing but escalation by Pakistan now once again, and will be responded to and is being responded to appropriately. One point that I wanted to also address was the allegations to the targeting of a dam, the Neelam Jhelum project in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. I want to say that this is an absolute and complete fabrication and a blatant lie. India has targeted only and only terrorist infrastructure, and the details of that terrorist infrastructure, together with the locations, were shared with you yesterday by Colonel Qureshi and Wing Commander Singh. I should note that if this kind of a claim is a pretext for targeting Indian infrastructure of a similar nature, Pakistan will be entirely responsible for the consequences that will undoubtedly follow. Finally, I want to address some issues that have been raised related to the Indus Waters Treaty and the disinformation that has been raised in regard to that as well. The fact is that there have been fundamental changes in the circumstances in which the Indus Waters Treaty was concluded, and they call for a reassessment of the obligations under the treaty. Over the last year and a half to 2 years, India has been in communication with the government of Pakistan. We've sent several notices to them requesting for negotiations to discuss modification of the treaty. India has for 6+ decades now, honored the treaty, even during periods when Pakistan imposed multiple wars on us, and even when relations were adversarial. Pakistan is the one that has been acting in violation of the treaty, deliberately creating legal roadblocks in India exercising its legitimate rights on the western rivers. Any projects that India sought to build on the eastern rivers, and even on the western rivers, which we are allowed to by the treaty, were always challenged by Pakistan, thereby hampering our rights to utilize our legitimate waters under the treaty. In fact, if you see, the preamble of the treaty itself states that the treaty was concluded in a spirit of goodwill and friendship. Mark those words, concluded in a spirit of goodwill and friendship. ये भारत का धैर्य और भारत की सहनशीलता है जो 65 साल से हम इतनी प्रोवोकेशन के बावजूद इस ट्रीटी को निभा रहे हैं. However, as has been made clear earlier as well, Pakistan has not responded to our requests to enter into negotiations for a reassessment of the obligations under the treaty. A number of conditions have changed. This is a treaty that was based on the engineering techniques of the 50s and the 60s. We are living through the first quarter of the 21st century. Technological changes and technological advancements have to be taken into account. There are demographic changes, there are climate changes that have taken place, there is the imperative of clean energy, and of course the terrorism that Pakistan has wreaked in the state of Jammu and Kashmir itself has hampered India's ability to exercise its rights under the treaty. Pakistan's persistent refusal to respond to our request to enter into government-to-government negotiations on the modification of the treaty is, in a sense, itself a violation of the treaty, and therefore India has taken the step of putting the treaty in abeyance until Pakistan abjures irrevocably its support for cross-border terrorism. Maybe I'll stop there. I mentioned earlier yesterday as well that this is an evolving situation. I would therefore ask all of you to be considerate and restrained. It will not be possible for us or my colleagues from the armed forces to share operational details at this point in time. Beyond that, if you have any questions, may I have time for only a few, and I'll try to answer those questions.
Okay, I give the floor to Rishabh.
One Secretary, good evening. This is Rishabh from Times Now. I just wanted to understand, as per the press release that has been released earlier today, it says that we have successfully hit at the air defense of Lahore. Does it give our forces a better chances if in case of further escalation? And are there other air defense places as well at strategic location that were targeted?
Rishabh, you are violating the first rule that I set out at the end of my remarks. The press release that has been issued by the Ministry of Defence today speaks for itself. It is related to operational matters. It's been released by the Ministry of Defence. As more information becomes available, it will be released at the appropriate time. Once again, please don't go into operational details at this point in time, because this is a constantly evolving situation. Yeah, go ahead.
Foreign Secretary Smita Sharma, just wanted to ask, the Pakistani Minister Ishaq Dar in an interview has claimed that the national security advisors of India and Pakistan have spoken to each other. If you could confirm or deny, and is complete severance of diplomatic ties with Pakistan also on the table?
I have no information with regard to contacts between the two national security advisors. Insofar as diplomatic relations are concerned, you've seen the steps that were announced in response to the following the meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security on the 23rd of April. There are no further steps that are under consideration at this moment in time. Yeah, go ahead.
फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी, मेरा नाम मनीष है, मैं TV9 भारतवर्ष से हूं और आपने खुद ही बताया कि कितना मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन क्रॉस बॉर्डर से आ रहा है, बल्कि ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे पाकिस्तान के प्राइम मिनिस्टर और डिफेंस मिनिस्टर तक भी प्रोपेगेंडा करने में मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन में आ गए हैं। वो कई बार तो ये तक दावा करते हैं कि हम 3 राफेल हमने गिरा दिया, इतने हमने मिग गिरा दिए, और जब उनसे पूछा जाता है तो वो कहते हैं कि सोशल मीडिया में हमने ये सब चीजें देखी थी। तो अगर आधिकारिक तौर पर अगर आप कुछ कह सकें इस पर, ताकि उन्हें भी समझ में आए कि इस तरह के प्रोपेगेंडा नहीं चलने वाला है।
देखिए, जब सही समय होगा तो आधिकारिक तौर पे इसके बारे में सूचना दी जाएगी, लेकिन जो आपका प्रश्न है कि प्रधानमंत्री और उप प्रधानमंत्री और विदेश मंत्री, उनके रक्षा मंत्री इस तरह की बातें कर रहे हैं, तो इसमें अचरज की कोई बात नहीं है। आखिरकार ये एक देश है जिसने अपना इसका जन्म लेते ही झूठ शुरू हो गया था। 1947 में जब पाकिस्तानी फौज ने जम्मू कश्मीर पे दावा बोला, तो उन्होंने किसी ऐसे वैसे व्यक्ति से नहीं, संयुक्त राष्ट्र से झूठ बोला कि हमारा कोई लेना देना नहीं है इससे, ये लोग जो गए हैं वो तो कबायली हैं। वो तो जब हमारी फौज वहां पे पहुंची और UN के लोग, संयुक्त राष्ट्र के लोग खुद वहां पे पहुंचे, उन्होंने देखा कि वहां तो पाकिस्तानी फौज घुसपैठ करके आ गई है, उसके बाद पाकिस्तान को मुंह की देखनी पड़ी और उनको मानना पड़ा कि हाँ, उनकी फौज वहां पे कुछ समय से पड़ी हुई है। तो ये जो यात्रा है एक तरह से 75 साल पहले शुरू हो चुकी है, तो आई एम नॉट सरप्राइज दैट दिस काइंड ऑफ disinformation is being indulged in. Yeah, Siddhant.
So Siddhant from Beyond. Sir, we have seen a lot of negative comments coming from the Pakistani military of escalation. If tomorrow there is an escalation, there are strikes, we know one attempt has been thwarted, what will be the Indian response to those attempts of creating more escalation? Because it is looking like it's going towards more escalation. And my second question is, are any other world powers, essentially the P5 countries, the West Asian countries, reaching out to de-escalate the current situation?
Look, on escalation, we've already made our stance clear. I mean, there are two basic points. First of all, it is Pakistan that escalated on the 22nd of April. We are only responding to that escalation. And then what we have said yesterday and what my colleagues have said today, that now if there is an attempt at further escalation by Pakistan, it will be responded to in an appropriate domain. And therefore, the choice is entirely that of Pakistan to make. As to your second question, I don't think I can do better than to point you in the direction of the statements that are being made from practically every chancellery in the world and the sentiment that they are carrying. That sentiment essentially and for the major portion is support for the government of India in the context of the condemnation of the terrorist attack in Pahalgam on the 22nd of April. There is wide recognition of the government of India's right to respond to these attacks in self-defense, and of course a desire to ensure that there is not further escalation. I think these statements speak for themselves. Yeah.
Sir, this is Mausami from India Today. Now, in the all-party meeting, we have learned that the Defence Minister has said that, you know, in the operations in Sindoor, almost 100 terrorists were killed. Would we have any details about what is the number like, and also about if there were any big faces, masterminds, terrorist masterminds who were in fact killed? There is also a report that Masood Azhar's family's 10 members have been killed, and Rauf Asghar, who was actually the mastermind of Pulwama, he's also been badly, severely injured.
I don't have information at this point in time to share with you on these issues, but as I said, I think, there is so much information out there on television, in the news media, in social media, that it sometimes looks like a long time has passed since this. Please understand that slightly over 36 hours only have passed since this operation was undertaken. Let us have some patience. Information will come out and will be shared in due time. Shruti.
Thank you, Foreign Secretary. Shruti Ranjan from Bloomberg. Sir, could you give us any understanding whether India has moved the IMF or the World Bank to kind of, sensitize them about the the bailout that Pakistan has and, the kind of stuff that the Pakistan government is doing?
Look, we have an executive director at the IMF. Tomorrow there is a meeting of the board of the IMF. And I'm sure that our executive director will put forward India's position. The decisions of the board are a different matter. The process through which they are made. But I think the case with regard to Pakistan should be self-evident to those people who generally to bail out this country. And Bloomberg, I think you would have the data on how many IMF bailout programs have been, very good, thank you, have been sanctioned in the space of the last 3 decades. And I think you would also have an idea of how many of those programs have actually reached successful conclusion. Probably not many. So I think this is a decision that board members have to take by looking deep within themselves and looking at the facts.
So we can, one last question, sir.
Sure.
One last question.
Foreign Secretary, I'm Siddhant from CNN News 18. I would like to know, since it's an opportunity to speak to you, I would like to know the response coming from United States since last 3 weeks. Saudi Arabia, Qatar. In fact, Prime Minister Modi spoke to Qatar before the strikes that evening. Perhaps how do you read the support coming from these countries? Perhaps traditionally they were seen on the other side. This time around, their statements are strong worded. In fact, India-Saudi joint statement also had a very strong condemnation, strong worded condemnation. United States at all levels have condemned the attack and have extended support. In fact, Saudi Deputy Foreign Minister is in India. He just met EMS Jaishankar. Also, if you could shed some light on his visit, his meeting with EMS Jaishankar. In fact, we have also been told that he met Prime Minister Modi. Thank you.
Look, all the countries that you named and many others, we have been in touch with them. The Prime Minister has spoken to a large number of world leaders. A large number of world leaders have called him, as have called the External Affairs Minister. As we speak, there are conversations going on today as well with world leaders. And your assessment or conclusion of the general tenor of these messages is very much on point. And I think this is a recognition of the fact, firstly, of the barbaric nature, the unprecedented nature and character and features of the attack in Pahalgam, and a recognition of India's right to respond to this. And also a recognition of the fact that in responding, we have been nothing but responsible and have done so in a restrained, in a measured, and in a non-escalatory manner. I think that counts for something. People have taken that into account, and that is what is explaining the kinds of reactions that we are seeing. And we appreciate the sentiments and the statements that have been made by the vast majority of world leaders. Yes, the Saudi Minister of State for Foreign Affairs is in Delhi. He had a meeting with the External Affairs Minister earlier today. I don't have further details at this moment, but if there are details, the ministry will share them at some point with you. Thank you. I think that's all we have time for today. We'll join you again soon. Thank you all.
Thank you.
That was the Foreign Secretary, Vikram Misri, flanked on either sides by, of course, Colonel Qureshi, representing the Indian Army, and Wing Commander Singh of the Indian Air Force, telling the entire world and, of course, the common public at large that Pahalgam was the original escalation. That's where things actually started. All India has been doing is respond to those escalations in Operation Sindoor. What happened yesterday was the first response after the first escalation. The original escalation was always the Pahalgam carnage of the 22nd of April. And Vikram Misri, the Foreign Secretary, speaking about the Indus Water Treaty, saying disinformation in that regard to the Indus Water Treaty. There are some fundamental changes that one has to look at. Reassessment of obligations under the treaty. We've been trying to get in touch and through to the Pakistan authorities and administration over the last 2 to 3 years, but have always faced a legal roadblock, a stone walling, which is nothing but one of those tactics to delay the already ongoing process. And in terms of the impartial international investigation into the Pahalgam carnage, Vikram Misri, the Foreign Secretary, again told the world that when it came to the 2008 Mumbai terror attack, when it came to the Pulwama attack, India took the first step of asking for an impartial international probe with the help of course, the Pakistani authorities. And each time it was shunted, it was shot down, and Pakistan uses this same credible information to hide their own tracks rather than help in that impartial probe and investigation. So, 2 escalations and 2 responses by India so far. Joining me here on the broadcast is Group Captain V.N. Jha, defense expert and ex-Indian Air Force officer. A very warm welcome to you, Group Captain. You know what, Group Captain, we'll quickly go across to you first. What did you make of the Foreign Secretary's remarks? He's said it quite loud and clear that the first ever escalation was Pahalgam. All that India has been doing is reply, that too in the same domain and in the same intensity, not an inch here and there.
Yes, what I have heard is absolutely diplomatic step. It looks slightly unfamiliar to me because it is not like a military response that India is giving to Pakistan. Military doctrine says something different. Military doctrine says...
Why do you say so? Why do you say so, Group Captain? What has changed?
Military doctrine says crush your enemy at the earliest. But we have been giving the measured response. The moment Pakistan escalated the scenario by hitting Indian sites through their drone or through their missiles, whatever it is there, onto the military or the civil establishments. This is a clear-cut escalation to the conflict level. The moment there is a conflict, there is no place for the receiving country to give a measured response. Military doctrine says crush your enemy at the earliest before that country mounts enormous losses onto you. This is what we suffered in 1971 when we were engaged with Bangladesh, and Pakistan started a surprise attack on our Western Front. That time, of course, Indian Air Force didn't grudge, but Indian Air Force did incur a lot of losses on that surprise first attack, despite the passive air defense in situ. So, what has been happening here in this case, they hit us, so we have hit them few. We have hit their radar station or something. They hit us at so many places. We hit them at 9 places. No, this is not military doctrine, Kabir. This is not military doctrine. Of course,
actions should have been more intense. Is that what you're hinting towards?
Absolutely, it should have been much more intense. The moment they have used their missiles, it is imperative onto the nation, India, to try and destruct their capability. You know, we have incurred a lot of losses in hands of Pakistan. So many of the wars. What for? Why are we...
no, you're absolutely right. Even the Foreign Secretary, Group Captain, also said that it is our patience that even after so many wars that have been imposed on us, we continue to respect the Indus Water Treaty, which, because of demographic changes, because of climate changes, it asks for some sort of modification and reassessment. But on that note, Captain Akhilesh Saxena, a Kargil war veteran and defense expert, also with us on the broadcast here. Captain Saxena, do you concur with what Group Captain here is talking about, that our response has to be a little bit more intense? The Foreign Secretary kept on saying it again and again, that this is an evolving situation. Let's not try to read between the operational lines of how the army is reacting here. But is there a playbook? Is there a set defined playbook? Or is every situation going to be different and unique and will require its own unique war playbook.
Yeah, I've got little difference of opinion here, with due respect. So, one, in terms of escalation, Pakistan is doing this escalation not only from, Pulwama and before that, but they are doing it for years, for, starting from Kargil war. Even if you remember, our Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee started in Lahore Bas Seva, peace. India was always looking for the peace, as we were never the aggressor. And what they did, they stabbed us in the back and captured these high in Kargil, right? Obviously, situation become much difficult, as was rightly pointed out, if we do not make the first move. But India continuously still keep following the policy of peace, negotiation. But what happened? Every time Pakistan came and stabbed us back. Starting from, then we did the surgical strike to give him a message. Then we did the Balakot strike, give him the message. But Pakistan is not going to, stop at any kind of response from us, because they have become, in their policy, terror is a weapon in their overall policy, right? So our response has to change a little bit. And I will not keep it limited to the response which is kinetic in nature or has got a, military point of view, but it has to be overall. It has to be multi-pronged approach. And if you really see this time, we have changed our doctrine to deal with the terror in a larger way. So we are not saying that we will take the only kinetic action, but it will be multi-pronged, starting from Indus Waters Treaty. Second, just to ensure that they do not get the loan. Pakistan is in a financial crisis right now. They are not even able to do the repayment of their loan. And if this time, if we are going to hit at their stomach, where will they get the funding to, to fund this terror network? See, we need to see what is the root cause. If we will just kill some of these terrorists or the terror network, they will try to build it again. But this time, what we have to do, we have to hit at the root cause, which is one, Pakistan Army, and second, dry up their entire funding and loans which they get it from different pretenders. So this we have started non-kinetic action, and we were very measured in our approach. One kinetic action was definitely need of the hour. In fact, as I agree with Sir, we were very, very measured, calibrated, and we say it's a non-escalatory in nature. We were very measured, only hitting the terror target. So India has shown a lot of maturity, being one of the world leaders. Now we are going to be the third largest global power. So we cannot.
That's exactly what I was come to, Captain Saxena, because you see this maturity. This maturity will help India sustain and maintain its credibility, and our fight against global terrorism is going to continue to go on. Because today the entire world is talking about India. Our soft power, it pretty much rules in the Western world as well. And we need to maintain that as well. I think taking two strong and intense steps, I could be wrong here. This is a small little limited opinion coming from a news studio. But then again, Group Captain, I think that this is why it hasn't been that intense, because I think we must safeguard our credibility as well. And like, Captain Saxena was talking about, all right, we also have General Shivane with us on the broadcast here. Very warm welcome to you, General, as well. We were talking about, so many aspects before the Defense Minister started speaking at the 65th National Quality Commission and that conclave. And he also pointed out that our quality is the main reason why we were able to carry out this precision strike. We pinpointed the targets and we hit them right at it. General Shivane, how about we bring you into the conversation? We've got Group Captain who said that, the attacks haven't been as intense. The military doctrine says otherwise. Captain Saxena of the opinion that, we've been taking calculated steps and this has to go beyond the kinetic response that we've been seeing for so long. What is your opinion? How did you understand and perceive Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri's briefing?
I think it was very comprehensive, very focused, balanced and mature briefing, and more importantly factual, which did not leave any doubt in anyone's mind. And it projected once again that India is a responsible democracy who is looking at peace, but if it is targeted, it will ensure that the perpetrators of such an attack will not go scot-free. And if you look at the evolution of two nations, one is the rogue nation, which was born out of independence, and you see the history of the coups, the backstabbing, and where they are today economically. and look at India, how it has evolved into a balanced, respected global democracy which is growing. Now you see these two models. How does the world see us? I am sure the prism through which the world sees us is much more of respect as far as India is concerned. And as far as Pak is concerned, whenever they look at Pak with some sympathy, it is to do with their geographical location, not because of the state. Because Pak is not only a state, a rogue state, but the Pakistan army, which is the center of gravity of Pakistan, is a state within a state. And therefore, any actions that we take must address the center of gravity, which is Pakistan army, to discredit them in the eyes of their own nation, because they are the ones who are breeding terror. They are the ones, their ISI, who is creating all these mischiefs across, because for them, their sustenance, their status, and their respect lies in the anti-India card. But they don't realize how they've been hit all over. The Baluchis are hitting them. The Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is hitting them. They are stretched.
And their lies just don't stop. And even then, General, their lies are just not stopping. You've got the foreign minister of Pakistan telling Reuters that, you know, a hotline has been established between India and the Pakistani national security advisors. I mean, making any kind of story from thin air, from their figment of imagination, and these deceptions, they end up hurting the atmosphere. It vitiates the atmosphere, because this disinformation is going to hurt both sides of the border. But, you know, coming back to the intensity of the attack, and Group Captain Jha, this question to you next. HQ-9 aerial defense systems in Lahore completely gutted and shattered. They sent across 15 projectiles over the night, and we shot each and every one of them down. What does this tell us about our military prowess and their aerial defensive prowess?
Kabir, look, there is no comparison. India has come a long way. I gave you example of 1971, but this is not 1971. This is not the India of the 20th century. Today, India is much different. But we have got a tradition to be human. And you know, who will be a better example than there was a king who defeated a cruel Muslim leader 17 times, and every time he left him. And the 18th time when he lost, the type of atrocity that was committed onto him, his family, in front of his eyes, was unprecedented. So you can be that human, or what I gave you the example is the military doctrine. Either you don't fight a war. You said, okay, you have hit me one punch, I'll also hit you one punch, like a child play. No, military doctrine doesn't say that. You can continue on the lines of Russia and Ukraine. You can be human onto the Ukraine, despite being the military might of the olden years, or you can hit the enemy hard on the first instance itself, so that he understands the language that he understands the best. You know, these are the things what we are talking of. Next time, if one Indian aircraft, Indian Air Force fighter jet, or a formation of that goes towards Pakistan to hit at some targets, should we be human? No, don't hit at this. It will hit them hard. There will be much more press. No, sir, it is not like that. When you're going to knock at the enemy, you knock out the enemy and hit the hardest. Look, gone are the days where you can continue to be human with Pakistan. Pakistan is not that type of state. It has shown you time and again. And Kabir, you said that everyone has said that Pahalgam has been the escalation. No, sir, Pahalgam has not been the escalation. Much before Pahalgam, the things were happening. Pahalgam happened on 22nd. Think of 9th of April, think of 24th of March, 11th of February, 24th of October, 20th of October, 9th of October. Continue going. Kupwara, Poonch, Desa Forest, Kathua, Doda. It is happening. And it is not happening onto the civilian. It has been happening on the military targets. 6 army personnel killed, 10
We
army personnel
understand.
killed.
We understand where you're coming from, but then, Captain Saxena, why is the Foreign Secretary, why is the entire craft setup now talking about non-escalatory means? We're constantly saying that, look, we don't want a war, but any sort of escalation is going to meet very firm retaliation. What Group Captain Jha is saying are also valid points.
Yeah, I will like to bring some geopolitical issue before we look at only the military action, because now war is not fought in the isolation. I will like to bring the China angle into this, which I think most of us has not even talked about it. So if you see with the Trump administration coming in, there are definite restrictions in terms of tariff and all, which is happening onto the China. The manufacturing of some of the global company is going to shift from China to India, right? So if you really see, China sees India as a major adversary, which is going to have a major impact on their growth rate, right? Now, China do not want to have a direct fight with India, right? Because China, being a very diplomatical country, they find a way to do it through Pakistan, because Pakistan, as everyone knows, is a rogue nation. Anyway, for them, it's a terror is their weapon.